got stroked with 3 step-back threes in a row. I mean, like, basically, that was
Jackson's way short, too.
he about 6'4",
Oh, okay.
but Luka's like 6'7",
Yeah.
and got a high release point. So he steps back, and now there's 6 or 7 feet of space in between, and he's lunging forward to try to recover. You can't lunge forward on someone 6'7",
Yep.
and they already have you by 4 or 5 inches. It's not going to work,
Mavericks.
especially when you don't want to be out there guarding him in the first place. I mean, Luka was toying with Jackson
And
the
then
whole game.
I think he
Every
was
time,
guarding.
every time he saw him coming, he just licked his chops and was talking trash to the whole team about it.
Yeah.
And then you stick him in that bad situation, double him, and not even let him get the ball on the inbounds. There are a million different ways you could have went with that play, and they chose the worst way.
Yeah.
We're just gonna guard him straight up with our worst defender.
But on a different note, Seth Curry.
Okay, let's be clear. Anybody in the game is not their worst defender, but okay, I get what you're saying.
Okay, I need to look on who was on that bench to confirm that.
No, you don't.
He was the worst defender on the floor,
Okay, I can live with that.
and I need to see who else was available on that bench.
Hey, but check the question for you. So if Seth, Burke, and Hardaway Jr. keep balling like they are, do they win this series? Because they are balling out of control, all three of them.
They were, but I'd rather make them take a hurry up shot than Luka, who just stroked the last 4 he took.
Right. Well, Seth been going like 80%.
Yeah, but Seth was being guarded by, what was the guy's name, AC? Because we talked about that yesterday. I don't even know his name. Shamit, who's probably what, 6'1", and made Seth look like a big guy. He was kind of taking him in the paint and just doing whatever he felt like doing.
So here's my thought. Seth Curry is a substitute, even though he plays like a starter, right? He's a sub, and he was out in the final 2 minutes until that timeout. So he came back in to be an option. And I just feel, right, and I could be wrong about this. I hear you, and I'm sure you have a response for this, and I saw Cobbs on there saying the same thing that you were saying. And I needed to watch the play again to see if there was a switch, and I never did go back to your post. But, well, hold on a second. Hey, everybody. What's up? Episode 27, the Collective Podcast. Thank you, Anchor and Spotify listenership. Thank you, YouTube viewership. We are happy that you are back here with us. We are obviously talking about the NBA playoffs. What may not be so obvious is that we are talking about Game 4 of the Los Angeles Clippers at the Dallas Mavericks.
It was the Mavericks game.
At the Fieldhouse in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. And if you don't know Lake Buena Vista, Florida, that's Disney World. That's the Disney World campus. So Game 4 was pretty interesting. It was probably
Mavericks
a little beyond boring, like just beyond boring. Just kidding. It was a very exciting game. And a very ugly game in a lot of ways, but it was suspenseful. Even if you don't think it was exciting, you have to believe it was suspenseful. So we're talking about the final play in which the Mavericks inbounded the ball down 2, right? Down 2, correct? Or down 1? Down 1. Okay. So down 1, and we're talking about Seth Curry coming into the game. So here's my thought, Rod. If you double, and this is it's all speculation, but that's Rodney's head, by the way. Listeners, all we see is the top of Rodney's head because he's looking down. So he's back to his old tricks.
I had to see who was on that play.
All right, so at least he's doing research for the current topic, so I can live with that. I believe that in real life, Luka, is likely your number 2 option on that play, but because he is currently the star and he had such a high game, he's the number 1 option. But I believe if you double him, then you just pass the ball to Seth. And when you talk about pure shooters, he's one of them. And I don't know that you fare any better on that, and maybe worse, because maybe you're doubling off of Curry, and maybe Curry's just wide open. I also saw you and Cobb speculate about the idea of making them throw it in the backcourt again. They weren't going to throw it in the backcourt again. Like, they shouldn't have thrown it in the backcourt in the first place, and didn't have to. They just did that. So they were going to fix that the second time around with 3.9 left. But if you do double, I don't know, and you're not doubling with Kawhi. I don't know. I guess as I think about it, Kawhi wasn't even involved in it. So you have a stellar defender. Ralph Ellison was in the building, so the Invisible Man was on the court. Paul George, but he gave you nothing. He gave you nothing. But I don't know if you double him, then what, right? What happens?
So,
Paul George played yesterday.
They say. I
saw him driving on the 14.
I saw him in warm-ups. I saw him shake hands after the game, and I saw him in warm-ups, but I never saw him in the bubble.
He was one of the virtual people.
His bubble popped.
Man, but check this out. Okay, so they had Seth Curry on the weak side. He's not even in the picture. So with him being on the weak side, you don't leave him. You don't need someone guarding the inbound passer. Some people feel like you always have to have somebody guarding that guy. In this situation, with Luka being so hot, I would not put someone on the inbound passer. It's not like they're taking out from the baseline. They're taking out from the sideline at the hash mark. So whoever that guy is that's guarding the inbound passer, let him double on Luka and make them pass the ball in a completely different direction. If they're throwing the ball across the court to Seth, that's a cross-court pass. You want that because it's easy to deflect and steal. They can't throw it to someone underneath the basket because that's another steal. And if you force them to throw it on the same side of the floor in the corner, you got a better chance of making a defensive play because they're pretty much trapped with 2 sidelines on both sides of them. So the guy who inbounded the ball wasn't Hardaway, wasn't Curry. He was the dark-skinned guy with the nappy haircut. I forget his name. I think he has the 2 last names.
Gilgeous
Alexander.
Yeah, I'll take my chances with him. If he can get the ball inbound and then get it back, I'll take my chances with that. But I'm not getting ready to let Luka just get an easy inbounds pass. The dude took 3 of those seconds dribbling around in a circle before he launched it. When you see him put the ball on the floor and he's not coming forward like he's going towards the basket, you know he's going to shoot a 3. There's only so much time you can take to get to the basket. So at that point, you know a 3 is coming. If you're a decent defender, you get up in his jock.
Okay, so you mentioned this yesterday, and I had a chance to watch it again. I thought I disagreed with you when you said it, but I just had to be sure. So do you not count his move to the basket as at all? Because he did make a move to the basket and then cross back and step back, actually. But he did make a move to the basket.
He gave 1 dribble fake and came back. And then dribbled again. And then took a step back and took the shot.
And then
so you're saying he had time to recover?
After that first dribble move on a 3-second 3.7 game clock, if you're not taking that shot after that first dribble move, I'm getting up on you because I know that if I jump you, you have to keep putting the ball on the floor and get closer to the basket. If you don't, then you're going to shoot a fall away 3-pointer, which is what I want. He didn't do that. He just shot a regular step back.
Okay, I've got a response, but Trey, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just to rub it in a little bit. After he stepped back, he kept stepping back too, till it went in the basket, and then he just stopped.
Right. But the whole time he was stepping back, he was bouncing the ball. That's my point. You have to go with him.
Okay, so here's my thing. Listeners, viewers, in my opinion, in Rodney's mind, it was a 9-second play. However, it was 3.9, not 9. And Rodney, he made a move to the basket, and maybe you're saying Jackson overcommitted, but Jackson flew, like he continued to go toward the basket, not because he was dumb, but because he had to get his footing and then come back. No. It was a move. You didn't see it that way?
He took a bounce and came back and took another bounce and came back. So if you're taking a bounce forward with your front foot and bringing that foot back, you're not going anywhere. So he didn't make a move to the basket. He just took a dribble forward. A move to the basket means he's coming. He didn't do that.
Trey, anything?
Well, I think when
he watched the play.
When he made
and he left 5 or 6 feet between him.
But when he made that jab and that first dribble, you have to think he's going that way. So that's why he backed up, right?
He took a step back.
Right.
Now, once
he recovered because it was just bounce and then
he didn't shoot after that. He took another bounce.
Rodney, man, he had 3.9, right?
He had 3.7, but that's my point. If you jump the move, now he has to attack the basket.
So he took, but I think it was 3 bounces. I think it was bounce, cross, step back, shot.
Yeah. It wasn't like 7 dribbles, right?
No, I didn't say it was 7 dribbles. I said he took 3 dribbles, but he never attacked the basket. You have to jump the move to make him go to the basket to use that time on the clock. You got 3.7 seconds.
But if he wouldn't have backed off of him when he made that jab to the basket and he wouldn't have moved, if he'd have just took off, then he'd have went right by him, right?
Yes.
Possibly.
And I guess Rodney is saying funnel him to the middle.
You still are making him use more time to make that move, and you're making him take a more
shot. Make him make that move to the basket where somebody can step over and help or something.
Step over and help, or he has to shoot off the dribble, which is harder than just having a rhythm shot on a step back. A step back is a rhythm shot. That's why everyone is doing it right now.
Yeah,
they don't even. I watch McCallum from Portland shoot step backs when there's not even a defender 5 feet around him. People are doing it for rhythm because the whole game is turning into rhythm shots. They don't just shoot regular jump shots no more. Everyone is doing the same move where they step back to take a shot. And that's for rhythm. And LeBron does it on every shot he takes from 3. Look, just watch it.
By it being a 1-point game, they would probably rather give up a jump shot than let him penetrate to the basket. So maybe that's why he played off of him because nobody was on free throw.
He played off because he was afraid. He shouldn't have been there. He just got hit. He just got hit for 3 straight threes. He was fearful. He did not. You don't put him in that situation. He's shell shocked. He's like a Vietnam vet.
So now that he got so now that he got worked, does the Mavericks win Game 5?
Do the Mavericks win Game 5?
Yeah, because the Mavericks play the Clippers.
No, I don't think they. I don't think the Mavericks will win Game 5.
Would you bet?
I think the Clippers will change their strategy going forward.
Would you bet, or are you just speaking as a fan?
I'm just speaking as a fan, and just as from what I see for the game, I think Doc Rivers will make changes. The changes that he probably could have made at halftime of this past one. But he's not going to leave Reggie Jackson on Luka again.
Ever.
I doubt you see that, especially in the fourth quarter. I doubt if you ever see that.
You know, I got a text message yesterday too that said if the Clippers lost this series, then Doc's got to go. I don't agree with that.
Doc can write his own ticket for the rest of his career.
Mm-hmm. I don't agree with that at all.
The text
through text, yeah, I didn't even respond.
You didn't agree with the text. Just for clarity, he wasn't saying he disagreed with me. He was saying he disagreed with the text.
Yes.
Yeah, Jerry West likes Doc. I don't. And you fire him for who? What's out there? There's nothing out there.
Well, I still been waiting for Bill Cowher to get a second job, and why not in basketball? You know, he stepped away from the Steelers, but no, Doc's not the one that needs to go. Listen, shout out to Ralph Ellison. You can't discount the fact that that Lancaster's very own Paul George was probably in Lancaster yesterday, as Rod said. It was just a no-show. However, I do think that the Clippers will lose the next two. I think they're done. I think they're cooked. And here's why. I don't believe Dallas played to their potential, and Porzingis was out. Luka was nursing that ankle. I feel like, let's see, what time is the game on Tuesday? I think the Clippers will probably play the late game. Let me see. Anybody know what time the game is on Tuesday? I think Luka will have a lot of time to nurse that ankle.
How long is Beverly out?
It's a strained calf, and he's still day-to-day. But if he's not in, then I don't think they win again. And here's why. You talk about making adjustments. Dallas has got to adjust on Lou Williams. And I feel like if they made a couple of slight adjustments, then the Clippers wind up not even being in that game late. I just feel like that was one of those things that things really fell into place for the Clippers after Dallas took control. And they got a couple of lucky breaks. And so even though I feel like the Clippers are a better team, I just feel like the Dallas is superior right now in the bubble. And I think that Doncic will have a little more help. And I think that even if George shows up a little bit, I think that the Clippers are so rattled right now. They don't recover from this. And again, I don't think that Lou Williams has that same kind of game. And, you know, whether it be Reggie Jackson or whomever else they're going to throw in there, it's not even about Luka. It's just about that team game. And I don't think it's about Doc. I think that people on the Clippers are not playing to their potential right now. They're not playing up to expectations, and I don't see them. It's not a switch that they can turn on and off. Because you would think that at any moment, Rodney, certain people would have stepped up and turned it on in that game, and they didn't. So I don't think that's a Doc Rivers adjustment, unless you're telling me that you're just going to move Paul George to the second team and move Lou Williams to the first team.
You said you don't think Lou Williams will have what kind of game?
40?
You don't think he can score 40 again?
No, I think he can score. No. Don't you try to do that to me.
I'm asking.
Yes, I do think that he can. I think that adjustments will be made, and he won't. I think that the way that Dallas was playing, they felt like, in my humble opinion, they were playing with borrowed money throughout the game. So it was like, let us focus our efforts. Like, okay, this Paul George thing is working. Let's just stick with this. Lou Williams can't. Oh, Lou Williams can't. Oh, and then it got to a point where it was just pretty ridiculous, and Lou Williams almost beat you single-handedly. And so I think that if you adjust a little and maybe just get him down to 24, then it's a different kind of situation. But what did he have? 38?
I'm not sure what the final his tally was, but I didn't like the Clippers' last possession. I know they wanted Kawhi to take the last shot, and then he takes this off-balance 22-footer which he could have gotten a much better shot than that with the time they had on the clock.
You talking about when he shot it for the 2-for-1?
No, the very last possession. That where it
when
was
they got it back.
right. It was tied, and then it went to overtime. He shot what would have been a game winner, where it wouldn't have went to overtime at 121.
Okay.
He could have got a much better shot than that. And it was Lou Williams at the top of the circle who gave him the ball. I would have let Lou Williams take the shot.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't guarded him all day. And offense is what he does. So sometimes you move away from the script and you go with your best option. I mean, like Lou Williams is a basket waiting to happen anytime he wants to. So Lou Williams should have had the ball in his hands, and Kawhi should have been on the wing just waiting for a kick out, because there's no one on the Mavericks team that could stop Lou Williams from doing what he wants to do. No one. He can stop himself if he just misses shots and has an off night, but there's no one on that team that could stop him one-on-one from getting to the basket. So I didn't like that off balance. Kawhi tried to milk it, which he was supposed to milk it as far down as possible and take that shot. But he could have gotten a much better shot than he took. You don't come out of a timeout and then the best you get is an off balance 22-footer from the corner. That's a bad timeout. That's a bad play out of a timeout if that's what you're getting.
You know what? Talking about coming out of timeouts, Rodney, this is one thing that you and I have not, I believe, we have not talked about enough. So let's take it off of the NBA for a second. Let's just talk about our officiating, whether it be at the collegiate level or the high school level. Mm-hmm. How many times, Rod, have we come out of a timeout and the players come over to us, who's ball, ref? How many times? What do you mean, who's ball, ref? What did you talk about in the timeout? I could understand where are we taking it out, but even though I'm standing on the spot, but who's ball, ref? It's like either you are just not being coached or you're not paying attention during that timeout. Fair enough?
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
I've definitely gotten some stupid questions over the years. But people who just came out of listening to the play in the huddle and get on the floor and completely don't know where to go. I mean, before the ball gets inbounded, they don't know where they're even supposed to be standing to set the play up.
Yeah, like, I heard the play, but I don't know the play.
Right.
I didn't tell anybody.
You had one job, and your job was to set this screen on the box.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're not even an option, and you still don't know what to do. So, yeah, that's fair. But I would have liked to see something else been drawn up for Lou Williams. And even if you draw something up for Kawhi, I think he could have made a move to take a better shot than that, because they don't really have anybody that can guard Kawhi off the dribble or stop him from doing what he wants to do. Right. He just settled. Because some people, I guess, get in the mindset, well, at the worst, we're just going to overtime. And it's like, no, if you can avoid going to overtime, you want to win right now.
Right. Yeah. All right. So that being said, we're definitely in playoff mode. We got it going. We just talked about Dallas and the Clippers. That was overtime. That we're on a delay, not a tape delay like Rodney lives in, but we record on one day and then it gets posted on another. So Milwaukee is up 2-1 currently against Orlando, and they have game 4 well in hand right now. So they may wind up going up 3-1. We have both Boston and Toronto that closed it out yesterday, and now they'll be waiting for each other. Kyle Lowry left for Toronto with an injury, so now he's got some time to rest. I called Rodney about this yesterday. The Boston Celtics, Brad Stevens, Daniel Tice just disgusted me beyond reproach yesterday. I don't remember the time, but let's just say 49.7 seconds. Boston's up by 10. A foul is called on Daniel Tice, saying that he fouled Al Horford. So it's now going to be, I want to say it was actually going to be ball out of bounds. I don't even think they were in the bonus, but let's just say they were in the bonus. It's a 10-point game. The Philadelphia 76ers are going to go down and shoot 2 free throws. It's Al Horford. And then the Boston Celtics will be able to take the ball out. Mind you, at the 49.7 seconds mark, Jason Tatum shot a 3 at the end of the shot clock. I didn't even like that. I'm like, just hand the ball off to the official, let the shot clock expire, forget about the field goal percentage or the turnovers, just like be a good sport. But no, shot the 3, missed it. During the ensuing rebound situation, they call a foul on Daniel Tice. He starts crying and whining and shaking his rattle and pouring out his bottle, his baby bottle. And then he keeps running over to Stevens. Oh, challenge it. And he's running around doing pirouettes and all kinds of stuff. Challenge it. So then you finally see Stevens succumb to peer pressure or just decide that he wants this, and it's timeout, challenge. Seriously, 49.7 seconds left. He calls the timeout. He challenges it. The challenge is successful. They say that the illegal contact by Horford occurred before the illegal contact by Tice. So they change it to a foul on Horford. Why did we need that? What, you're sweeping Philadelphia. It's a sweep. Why did you need to do that? I don't know. But then once that was done, then it was like, all right, Philly's like, all right, well, let us call a timeout. We're going to run a play for the final 6 seconds. Even though we're down by 100, we can't catch them. We're going to run a play. So I just thought it was in poor taste. So I proclaim Toronto will win the Boston series, and I want them to win that series with a plus 80 point differential. And although I am happy that Kemba Walker finally got a series victory, and I do like Jaylen Brown, and I like Jason Tatum, and Marcus Smart was a little crybaby yesterday too. Marcus Smart and Daniel Tice, crybabies. I'm glad that Kemba got his first series victory. Now I don't want them to win another game, and I want them to lose each game by an average of 20. Thoughts, Rodney? Thoughts? I want a plus 80.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I know as an official, I'd be bothered if somebody's asking me for some kind of review with that much time left.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I thought about it after we talked about it. I'm like, all right, 10 points, 40 plus seconds left. That's basically like three to four possessions.
Stop it. I know you've got this whole thing lined up, but you're gonna tell the truth. Also talk about Joel Embiid in a walker at that point of the game. Come on. Like he is completely out of gas. Like, stop playing, Rodney. Stop playing. Because it's not like they were coming back at this point. They're not. You know it, Rod. You know what Philly looked like at that point. Because I know you went back and looked at it after we talked about it. So this is not
before or after Harris.
Say it again.
Before or after Harris? After the Harris incident, did you feel like they were done?
Oh, Tobias. I'm like, I don't really know these people's names yet.
Oh, is that why I thought you were thinking? I was
no. Silly me. I kept thinking they would come back. We're specifically talking about the final 49.7 when Jason Tatum shot a 3 before the shot clock expired, when I felt like he should have just handed the ball to the official. And then the ensuing rebound came off, and they called a foul on Tice as opposed when he got tangled with Horford, and then he started jumping around, screaming, "Challenge it, challenge it, challenge it, challenge it, challenge it, challenge it." Like that really bothered me. Jumping around, dancing, whining, "No, no, my ball, my ball," and, you know, shaking his rattle and all of that. And so then Brad Stevens, timeout, challenge. Like it was all in poor taste. 49.7 seconds, 10-point game. Rodney's about to tell us that they had a chance, but I wanted to remind him that Joel Embiid was literally being escorted up and down the court at that point. They didn't have a chance. He was like the officials that never come across half court, and I believe he gave his all. Shout out to Joel Embiid, but he was out of gas.
Let me tell you.
Stop it, Rodney.
Embiid had 4 sprints after Harris went down, and there was probably like 9 minutes left in the game then when he went down. Joel Embiid had 4 to 5 sprints up and down that court, and after that, he was like, "Sub me out until next season." He was done.
It really, like, and this is not even me joking. It got to a point where I felt like if he did go down low for an entry pass, he might not make it to the other side of the court. And that's why he just stayed up. He was like, "Oh, I love this screening thing. Let me just keep screening for 3-pointers. Nobody, we need you to score. Get your butt down in the paint."
One time he got the ball at the 3-point line and kind of bully balled all the way back to the basket and missed the first layup, then had to go back up and get it again. Gassed. I don't even think he went down on defense.
So, Rodney, now that we're telling the truth, give me your thoughts on that sequence. Now that you know that there was zero chance of them doing anything, they just doubled Tobias at that point because they didn't need to do anything else.
I mean, like I said, I mean, you know, I don't like it, but I understand it.
Okay, so as long as you don't like it, that's all I want. I want to know how you felt about it.
Yeah,
I want to know how you felt about it.
Well,
not even as an official, but as a basketball fan.
I would have probably been cursing and mumbling stuff, and being really hesitant with calling that timeout. Like, huh? What'd you say, Coach? Timeout.
So I really thought, real talk, I thought that Tice was going to wind up picking up his teeth. If you look at Horford, and I have never seen Horford stare anyone down. If you look at Horford after that challenge was successful, he stared a hole in Tice. And I was like, oh, we're going back to 80s and 90s basketball, but nothing happened. I was a little disappointed.
They'll hug afterwards.
I don't want hugs. I want
they'll talk about it at dinner. They're gonna go eat after at Denny.
All right. Well, here's my proclamation, Trey. You missed it. Trey was away from us for a few minutes. I've got Toronto in the second round over Boston in a sweep and with a plus 80 point differential.
Oh, you sound like Charles Barkley. You sound like Charles Barkley. If you think the Celtics is going to go out there and get swept,
it's called karma. And no, I don't really believe it's going to happen. That's what I want. That's what I want because of how dirty they were to Philly. I believe that was in poor taste. And crybabyism was rewarded by the challenge.
How good they played. They outplayed them for 3 games, 3 quarters. You didn't like what they did in the fourth quarter. Don't take away what they did.
No. They outplayed them for I say the whole thing. They outplayed them for 192 minutes.
Right.
I'm specifically talking about their actions in the final 49.7. It's not their ability says that they're way better than Philly. But that was in poor taste. Like that to me is just that's that crap.
Right.
That's if they say, you know, on that final possession, you don't shoot that 3, you just let the shot clock run out or you turn it over, whatever. That's similar to that to me. Like you didn't just complain about the foul they called. You actually challenged it. You saved your challenge for the whole game to the final 49.7 when the game is out of reach. That's what I'm talking about.
I can disagree with that, but Tatum coming down shooting a 3. I mean, a lot of players don't let the shot clock expire. They just take the shot.
Right. That's true. They don't just think.
Well, I specifically didn't say I was mad at Tatum. Tatum is young. I didn't say I was mad at Tatum. I said I was mad at Tice for his rant, and then I didn't like Marcus Smart's crybabyism. And the reason why I'm really focusing on crybabyism is because, first of all, Rodney has been very unfair to the great Draymond Green throughout the years. And right now, I feel like he's got this thing against LeBron. And I'm not a LeBron, shout out to LeBron off the court. I have a lot to say about LeBron on the court, but I don't believe he's crying like whatever you said he was crying like. So I feel like I'm paying attention and I'm pointing out examples of when people are crying. And Marcus Smart, 32 seconds into that game, was on one. And so was Daniel Tice.
When you go into the basket,
and we can't speak about anybody who's in the playoffs right now.
6'8", 260, and you go into the basket, popping every defender along the way in the neck, and then you screaming for a foul. You need your butt whooped. And I would really change my language if those kids weren't out my door right now. And then he pushes off the defender, knocks it back with an elbow, gets called for a great offensive foul, and he's still hollering. Like, come on, dude.
So I've been known to ask on this show. I've been known to ask on this show for video evidence, and this time that I'm asking for it, Rodney should actually know how to get me video evidence. So Rodney is going to clip some plays for us of this crying in specifically in Game 3, because that's when you really got on it. So let us see this Game 3 crybabying, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But we're going to show the clips, and I'll eat crow if I'm wrong. But I hate being in a position to defend LeBron James on the court.
But we have different opinions on crying, because you want an outward visible whine, and my thing is you still whining if you have something to say every single play. Like at some point,
with that qualifier,
especially when you know you're wrong. I mean, like, and you just beat somebody up on the other end, and now you want to play hard on this end, but you don't want anybody to touch you on that end.
Well,
and that's what I was seeing that whole first quarter.
Well, I don't feel like he plays hard on defense, so that's another thing. So
I feel like
that brings up the out of gas statement when he and AD sat back in the backcourt while the other three guys played defense the other night, and they spotlighted it on camera where the shot clock is going from 22, 21.
So what's also interesting about that, the spotlight was shown on them.
I've never seen it.
I haven't either. But what was the other part of that spotlight? It was 3-on-3. Nobody came across. Right, that's what I'm saying. And then finally, the fourth. Who are the Lakers playing against? Portland. So finally, the fourth Blazer came over, but at first it was LeBron, AD, and two Trailblazers in the backcourt, and none of them were in view, and it was 3-on-3.
That's exactly why this new era is hard for me to watch. I've never seen anything like that. Where, I mean, they were in that backcourt for at least 12 seconds, at least more than that.
Yeah.
He almost got
in the backcourt, and you just standing there chilling while your teammates are busting their ass. Come on, dude.
And this is why. And this is why I feel like there's just no conversation about who the best player in the NBA is. And for me, it's there for several reasons. I think he's a great role model for basketball players, like how to play the game the right way. And who am I to talk about the right way when that's clearly not the way right now, but the way that we know basketball, right? The three of us, old school people. He plays offense, he plays defense, he doesn't take plays off. If he's going to say something to the officials, he's going to wait until a dead ball. He's not going to be spending game time talking to officials, right? He's going to give you his all for every minute that he's on the court, and that's Kawhi Leonard. I just don't, and I know that And even if you guys don't agree that he's the best right now, you do agree that he gives that maximum effort on offense and defense.
I've said he was the best for the last since he left San Antonio. I mean, before he left San Antonio. I can't say anything about the political part with what was going on between he and Pop.
Popovich.
But as far as his play and his skill level, I don't think he gets the same respect because he's quiet.
He's not flashy. That's why
he's not flashy. His game is very bland. He doesn't have any razzle dazzle to it. He just goes out there and does whatever.
Tim Duncan at a different position.
But the thing that can't be questioned is that this dude can do everything on the floor. And that's and not many people can do everything on the floor, which is what I liked about Kobe. He can shoot off the dribble. He can pull up on a dime. He can shoot the three. He can finish with either hand. He could defend small players and wing players. And some bigs, because I mean nowadays bigs don't really do anything. But there's nothing this dude can't do. He can shoot free throws. He got heart. He can. I mean, there's nothing he can't do on the floor.
Did you say he can shoot free throws or he can make free throws? I missed what you said.
And make free throws.
Oh, and make free throws.
Yeah, attempt and make.
That's pretty important in a great player, right?
And he's not afraid of the moment. He's not gonna disappear.
Which takes me to Trey. You got something else on that?
No.
All right. So I want to go to Utah, Denver. But before we go to Utah, Denver, predictions. All right. So I say the Clippers are done. And I know that Rodney has them winning the championship. So I'll just let you update, Rodney. What do you say? I know you have them getting out of that series, right? Yeah. Now, do you have them winning the next two and winning it 4-2? Or you think it's going 7?
I think they'll win. I think they'll win the next two.
Okay. And I know Trey has them coming out. Do you have them winning the next two or winning in 7?
If they win, it's going to be 7, bro. It's going to definitely be 7.
Uh-oh. So you don't necessarily have them winning?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh. Yeah. All right. So you heard it from the Collective Podcast, 2-1. Utah, not Utah. Who is it? Dallas. Dallas comes out of that series.
The pressure is on the Clippers right now.
Yeah.
And the Clippers can't win if that dude that used to be on the Pacers don't show up. What's his name?
I forgot. Lancaster.
Yeah.
I know Russell Westbrook is saying, told you. Chris Paul is saying, dodge that bullet.
And the Lakers be having a collective sigh of relief.
Exactly.
You remember all the drama of, PG, he screwed us. He knew he wasn't coming. He didn't want to be a Laker. He just lied. And all that other stuff that went with that.
Paul George has always had this franchise tag on him, and that mogul, that player. I have never thought Paul George was a Batman. I always thought he could be somebody's Robin, but I wouldn't put a team around Paul George and think that they can win the championship.
Me either. Well, in Indiana long time ago.
So I don't disagree. But I think that for me, at least, the idea was that he would come here and open the floodgates for free agents to come. And he could still be a Robin. Like you could get a Batman to come play alongside Paul George. That's at least what I was thinking. Now, I didn't break down the finances of it and know about the salary cap and all of that. But I wasn't saying, hey, Paul George, come here and be the savior. I wasn't even saying that to Anthony Davis, but it turns out that Anthony Davis is still getting better, and he actually can be. Actually, I guess he is Batman right now. So I wasn't even expecting that for Davis, but there's way more upside. Oh, Rodney hates that word. Davis is better. Davis is better, and it's still getting better. So there. Take that. Take that.
We can't talk about the Clippers though without giving a shout out to Lou Will. Lou Will does this thing. He makes that team go, I think.
Hey, you know what's crazy is PG 14 isn't even the third option right now of the big three. Like if there was a big three on each team, he wouldn't be number 3 with it as far as play is concerned.
Yeah, because it's Kawhi, then Lou, then what's the dude? The dreads.
Pick one.
Harrell,
Zubac, pick one.
Yeah, Trey just called him Trez. Wow, nicknames.
You said nicknames.
I think Lancaster is behind Morris. They had the same kind of game yesterday, but Morris was better the game before.
Well, Morris did a big shot at the end, a 3 from the corner. So
man, hey, so when he did that thing with his feet after making that, was he taunting? What was that? What was that?
Get a technical taunting. And he shot his foot off.
That's what
he shot his foot off.
That was taunting. He fired at the dude's feet.
Okay, so
I thought they don't do that in the NBA.
Yeah,
but we definitely would have had something.
Yeah, Draymond Green would have definitely got a technical foul.
Draymond Green would have knocked him out. So or hit him. Because I feel like Draymond's invincible, but maybe he's not. Maybe somebody can hit him back. But so not only was it taunting, but aside from that, I thought it was bad defense. And this is one of the things I was talking to Rodney about yesterday. What is the deal with the whole let's fly by everybody? Let's fly. There was a lot of bad defense, I felt like, on some of McCollum's stuff in the game where it's like actually I wasn't so mad at the Morris shot. It was Portland the night before where on that final play we're flying, just play defense. If he busts on you, he busts on you. But why are we flying by before he's actually committed to shooting the ball?
And then
how many wide open shots? Yeah. And it's almost like they have the same shot fake. Like, those two, that backcourt, they do this, bye-bye, stupid ass. Anyway.
Yeah.
Everybody feels like they're going to block a jump shot. So, no matter how.
I do like, in fairness, I do like the transition that's happened over the last 10 to 12 years where you jump at the shooting hand and pass it so you can, like, get, become some form of interference without much chance of fouling the three-point shooter. And by the way, Kawhi was human last night. He fouled a three-point shooter. I don't know if you guys remember. He fouled Hardaway.
And that was
Yeah, it was. Wow, poor Van Gundy. Man, I keep getting distracted. So Van Gundy, I think, is saying he's missing it. He's saying you can high five when the shot is gone. No, that's still an airborne shooter. What Van Gundy is probably thinking is that you can make contact with the hand while it's still on the ball, and that's not a foul. Like, you can, if someone's hand is on the ball, you can whack their hand because the hand is part of the ball, but you can't high five them when the shot is gone because that's an airborne shooter, and you can't make contact with an airborne shooter. So Van Gundy has had this thing mixed up for a couple games now, and Mark Jackson keeps telling them that's a foul, that's a foul, that's a foul. Now, obviously, you have a great player and you have a great coach, and one of them's right and one of them's wrong, and as usual, Van Gundy's wrong. Although I do enjoy him. All right.
Yeah, I enjoy two of them. They keep the game.
Well, they're trying. I love Mike Breen too. Bang! I like the three of them together. Listen. I love Mark Jackson's my favorite, and if I could have like Lynn Elmore, Mark Jackson, and Hubie Brown, like that would be heaven for me. And maybe throw in Clark Kellogg, but Clark Kellogg doesn't do the pros. But I just love the way that they talk basketball. But for this group, if Jackson's not going to be coaching, I need him in my living room. I need him to be with Mike Breen, and I think Van Gundy's a really good compliment. I see Stan Van Gundy's on; he's coming along. But I enjoy those three together, and boy, does Mark Jackson keep it real. Listen, right now, Lakers up 2-1 on Portland. And boy, we're 49 minutes in. We're still on the NBA. We only talked about 2 games. Lakers are up 2-1. They held on down the stretch, and Portland is Portland. What do you guys think? I know you guys now think if you didn't before, Rodney, think that the Lakers will close Portland out in this series. But do you think it happens in 5 games? Do you think it happens in 6? Do you think it happens in 7? Rodney. Trey. Trey.
Okay.
I was just wondering.
Oh, 5. Okay. Rodney.
I'll say Portland can get one more. I'll say 6. But you know, it's hard because you never know which Lakers are going to show up. Like that's another thing I'm not used to is them taking these days off where they just come out like, oh, we're not going to play hard today, you know, and then they give it up, and then a day later they just pour it on. I'm not used to that. Like this is playoff time. There are no days off. You don't sit down because your knee is sore or your toe is sore. Like if you're not, are you injured or hurt? Is the phrase. If you're hurt, you still play. If you're injured, you're out. You're in street clothes. You're not gonna put on warm ups and all that other stuff and then just sit on the bench and cheer and you know look like you're ready when you have no thoughts of playing. I'm trying to see how this works, and it throws me off completely. I don't honestly when it comes to playoff time now, I just don't know what to think.
So wow, I'm going to say that's a very interesting take from Rodney, and I'm going to get to it. So Rodney says 6. I think that if Portland wins another game, then there's going to be too much confidence from them. I think the Lakers close it out. But I've never heard anyone take a shot at Rajon Rondo. I don't even care about Kristaps Porzingis. But both of those guys in game 3 suited up and then didn't play. So I feel like Rodney's talking directly to them. And Rajon Rondo is a championship point guard. And do you really feel like he's someone who is dogging it? Like you don't believe in the back spasms?
I never even thought about Rondo when I made that.
Okay, so not Rondo.
Yeah, Rondo is proven. Rondo has played through stuff. He's exempt from that,
okay,
from that conversation.
Then I'm good.
As a matter of fact, Rondo was already suited when he started feeling the back spasms. This was in warm-ups. He had already had his stuff on. So that's different. Some of these guys are like they get bumped or something, and it's like, oh, I don't think I can go back out there. Like, dude, this is the playoffs. They need you. Go get on the exercise bike, do a Dennis Rodman, and go ride for 15 minutes and see if you can loosen that thing up and come back. Wrap it up.
And that's why I couldn't have pointed Tobias Harris out in the lineup, bro. But after yesterday, not only do I know who he is, but why did you come back? Like that's what you're talking about, right? Like that guy right there who picked his face up off the floor and walked up off the court and probably came back out with a migraine or whatever, some kind of severe headache after head trauma, facial trauma, and closed that game out.
Mm-hmm.
That's playing. That was actually playing injured. That was more than playing hurt. He's injured.
Right.
And yeah, guys, just they're not built like that. So I was happy to see that from Harris. I think that Porzingis wound up being in the same boat yesterday as Rondo the day before. They expected him to play because he wasn't doubtful or anything, but his knee tightened up. And I don't know him, but I don't think he could have sat there through all of that and just not come in the game if he could have helped it. But I know there are so many others that just don't show up. Now, I've had back spasms. I mean, I've never played at an elite level, but I've had back spasms and they've been debilitating. I've had migraines that have been debilitating. I've never had a knee problem. I have had a calf issue, quad, all of that. Rondo is day-to-day. What's our guy's name? LeBron's. Who's the guy that owns LeBron on the court? Oh, Patrick Beverly. Patrick Beverly, I believe, is day-to-day. Porzingis is day-to-day.
You hear that? Don't get me going.
I'm joking, but I'm joking about him owning LeBron for sure. But I don't even want that dude to come back and make a difference in the series that they're currently in. Like, I want Dallas to just close that out. I don't even know what the Lakers would look like with Rondo. Like, that would be special.
I wouldn't put Rondo to the next series. I wouldn't play him in the Portland series. They already figured out how to beat Portland in this series. Just do what you're supposed to do, and you beat them.
Yeah, but
I would work him in the game.
You can't count on them hitting shots again, and you need a penetrator. You can't count on. Danny Green hit a few threes the other night, but that was probably more threes than he's hit in the last 3 years.
Rodney be killing Danny Green.
Yeah, I mean, hyperbole, but that dude can't throw a rock in the ocean now. KCP can play 37 minutes and hit one free throw and not even have a stat line in 37 minutes. I mean, like, you can't count on that. You don't know who's going to show up for the Lakers on any given game.
And I don't know what happened, because when he was in San Antonio and then when he was in Toronto, that boy could shoot.
Who?
He was clutch.
Well, Rodney said 3 years. Rodney's not even counting last year.
No, he wasn't even making shots in the championship last year.
But to the Lakers, man, like, when he shoots, I don't expect it to go in, but I'm happy when it goes in.
He doesn't expect it to go in.
All right, so that takes us.
He doesn't. He's doing like Paul George. He just
Rodney, stop it.
Like, hey, I'm involved.
Stop.
You can look at Paul George's shots and tell he's shooting them just to stay involved. Honestly.
Yeah, but Danny
Green, about that. Honestly,
that every shot is going to go. That's not Danny Green, though.
No,
he takes good shots. He's just not making.
I'm being funny with Danny Green. Yeah. He's just not making shots. But
ain't gonna play no defense.
And he's actually shooting just to feel like he's staying involved because, hey, they're working to get me the ball, and I need to take this shot.
Hopefully, he has a shot clause in his contract.
Does he really?
I don't know. I'm just talking shit.
Because that would make a difference. I mean, like, different people have different clauses in their contract. You know, it makes a difference in how people play.
So this was interesting. So I think the Lakers will close them out in 5.
Yeah. Portland has no defense.
Here's my thing, and I want to know what you guys think about this. It was stated, and I don't have the quote, sorry. It was stated that Anthony Davis said, hey, we don't really need a number 3. Somebody will step up every night.
Yeah.
So who am I to argue with Danny Green? I mean, with Anthony Davis, but we here, so I'm going to. I disagree. I feel like Kuzma needs to be the 3. And if he has an off night, he has an off night. But I feel like he needs to be option number 3. I feel like he needs to show up every night. And I feel like other people can step up as a 4th complementary piece or as a 5th complementary piece. But I feel like Kuzma needs to establish himself or needs to be established as, and it doesn't need to be to the same degree as 1 and 2, but he needs to be the 3rd star on that team. It need not be Caruso. And it needs to be, he needs to be someone that you guys can rely, you guys being Davis and LeBron, can rely on to help you carry the load night in and night out, night in and night out. What do you guys think about that?
I think the other Morris brother could be a good person to step up. Oh, we talked about that on the text message too. Which one had the better Morris brother? Clippers. Clippers got him. But y'all look at him. Was I not supposed to say that?
No, that's fine. No. It's just interesting that in game 3, he was amazing, which made me ask Trey and Rod, who's the better one? Like, is it the Clippers one? But then in game 4, outside of that 3-pointer, he didn't look as good as ours. So I feel like if I just look at the first round of the playoffs, ours has been more consistent than theirs, just because he had a crazy game, and then he was pretty much a no-show. Although he did at least have a stat line. I know Paul George, I think, had like 2 turnovers and 2 fouls, and that was his whole stat line with like 48 minutes played. But I don't know. So you don't think it needs to be Kuzma Trey? You're saying it could be Morris?
It definitely needs to be Kuzma, but then we need, like, if we could get another play like Morris to step up,
okay,
and give us 10 points, 12 points, that's huge. And our main thing, man, bottom line, all the Lakers got to do, man, is make free throws. Damn it, they're free. Make your free throws.
That's clearly a tough task with 15 missed free throws in Game 4.
You know what I mean? Make your free throws, you win the game.
Game 3.
That's it. And it starts from the top. LeBron.
Kuzma needs to be the second option.
Okay, so you do agree that he needs that's the 3 then. Whatever else you feel, whatever the order is.
Kuzma needs to be the second option.
Okay.
They need to keep him involved the whole game because obviously with LeBron bringing the ball up as the point guard in that slot, he can dictate what shots he wants anytime he feels like it. So it was the same with Magic. Remember you guys remember when Magic scored like 40, the Lakers would lose, and he had to make sure that some of the guys that he didn't get a lot from, he needed to make sure they got some easy baskets to keep them engaged for the end of the fourth quarter. Not because he needed them to score 20 to help the Lakers win. He needed them engaged for the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. And this is why I say Kuzma needs to be number 2. You have to keep running plays for that dude and make him the second option because LeBron, number 1, can call plays to get his shots anytime he wants. And number 2, the Lakers don't have a closer. And you need someone like Kuzma who could get his own shot and help fill that void. It wouldn't be an issue. The free throws wouldn't be such an issue if they had someone like a Lou Williams who wasn't afraid and who could get to the basket anytime they feel like it. But they don't have that. Kuzma is probably the closest
to it. Go to the basket.
That can create his own shot and get to the basket. Like I've said before, and people criticize me, LeBron doesn't have that shake to his dribble. He doesn't have those dribble moves where he's going to rock you to sleep and go by you and get to the line. And a lot of times towards the end of the game, that last 5 minutes, he doesn't want to go to the line. He avoids contact because he's not confident in his free throw ability. And that's just a fact. And too many times, Anthony Davis settles for jump shots, which is not going to create fouls for you. And if you look at just the history overall in basketball, and I've always done this, when you look at the box score and you look
he means always, since he helped James Naismith create the game. Always.
That was a lob. That was a lob that he just caught and dunked. I gave that one for free. But when you look at the box score and you pay attention to total fouls, normally the team with the most total fouls loses. And collecting fouls on a team dictates the way they have to guard you. If you got a guy, and which was why Shaq was so valuable. If you got a starting center and Shaq already he's your best center because your best center is going to start. So if he's picking up 2 fouls guarding Shaq in the first quarter, he sits for the rest of the half. That means that your whole strategy is out the window. You got to go to plan B because that guy is no longer in the game. And now halftime comes, he picks up number 3 and number 4. He can't guard Shaq at the end of the game. So yeah, he only got another 1 or 2 more times to play Hack-a-Shaq before he's gone. Then you got to bring in the next guy who probably has some kind of big deficiency or he'd be starting. You see what I mean? Which is why Phil Jackson went to the well, let's have 5 centers on the roster. Because now you got 5 bums who can come in and just foul him all game long instead of 2. Now you got 30 fouls to work with to send him to the line. And you better hope that all of those are shooting fouls and that he doesn't get another chance to take the ball out and do it over again. So that's a game changer when you see, which is why I think Terry Stotts was really complaining about the foul discrepancy in the Portland Laker game the other night. Because he said that the Lakers went to the line 31 times versus his I don't know what his total number was, but it was a big difference.
Yeah, however, we know what that was though. The Lakers couldn't buy an outside shot, and Portland shot a high percentage, so they weren't aggressively going to the hole. They were bussing jumpers. When you shoot a lot of jumpers, you don't go to the line a lot.
Yeah, and Portland is not a good defensive team, and they were late rotating on lots of shots. Um, you got McCallum playing with a fractured back, and even though I think it was Doris Burke kept trying to say that Dame Dollar didn't look different with his fingers bandaged. He obviously did on his dribble moves. I saw him numerous times trying to maneuver and get the ball back to his right hand when he was going to the basket. He couldn't. He didn't have the same shake that he normally has. He had to dribble really low to keep guys from trying to swipe in and hit his hand to steal a ball. So I pick up on stuff like that. I don't know if everyone else does, but I'm always looking for some kind of flaw or something that's not um,
Flex.
out of the ordinary
Flex.
from what they normally do.
So for our new listeners, Trey flexes on us all the time. Trey's bougie and he flexes a lot. Rodney doesn't flex as much, but I don't know if you guys caught that. I pick up on that kind of thing. I don't know if the rest of you guys do. He actually just said that to all of y'all. Boy, was that a flex.
You know what?
An advanced basketball mind, but I don't know if you peasants.
No, not advanced basketball mind, but me. I know a lot of times when I played, I always looked for a flaw, and I tried to exploit it. You know, at every chance I got. If you didn't like contact, I constantly touched you. If you talk trash, but you couldn't step it up a notch, I'd constantly talk trash to you. I mean, like whatever flaw you can find is what you use as a defender, which is why I was mad about the end of that Clippers game. Um, Looking at the time and looking at the play. But yeah.
Pick me.
Oh, that's how many games the Lakers gonna win in?
Yes, 5. So this is going back to Terry Stotts. I don't know if anybody looked this up, but I'm sure they did because I'm not the most advanced mind on this basketball mind on this podcast. I'll go for third. The fouls were 21 to 25.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Now is he trying to say that maybe they gave a few cheap ones at the end of the game or to make it look?
He's just trying to get you to see free throws.
Right.
And he wants that to be the narrative.
Okay.
Look at the free throw discrepancy.
Because I've worked with a few people that will, try to even it out by calling a few cheap ones at the end of games to say, see, we got it to 8-8, and I'm like, uh-huh.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, and then but look at this. They took 95 shots, Portland.
Yeah.
And the Lakers took 78. And I didn't tally up points in the paint and all of that, but like it's one of those things where the fouls were evenly distributed. There was never a thing where they were like, oh, we should have been shooting, he shouldn't have been shooting. Like that never ever came up throughout the game.
I didn't see bad officiating on that game.
That being said, happy birthday, Kobe Bryant. That was yesterday. Well, that was Sunday. That was August 23rd. Let's have a moment of silence for Kobe Bryant, Gianna Bryant, and the other 7 people that perished on the helicopter crash. All right, lots of tributes to Kobe Bryant throughout the world, throughout the sports world. On Sunday, August 23rd, from the Dodgers, literally taking their shirts off and putting Kobe Bryant jerseys on with nothing underneath during the national anthem, and standing there with 8s and 24s, and from the Dodgers painting 24, Kobe's 24, gold 24 encased in purple, and then Gianna's 2 right next to it. And let's see, Lou Williams, was it Lou? Yeah, Lou Williams with the Kobe hat on yesterday in his press conference.
Tatum, did you hear what Tatum did? So I didn't know until yesterday that Kobe Bryant told Tatum that he was his favorite player and would always be his favorite player in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And Tatum wore a purple armband yesterday in the game as well.
So when I saw him finish on a replay before a commercial break, I saw the purple, and it didn't even dawn on me like what that had symbolism. So I didn't know, but I'm glad that people remembered Kobe. So sad, like all the people that were lost, and then specifically we're talking about the NBA. So sad to have Kobe gone. Someone who gave me some insight into being a father to a daughter, to daughters. Just really, really sad. All right, so moving on from that, and I want to get out. We're not gonna make it out of the NBA, but let's try.
I want to say,
go ahead.
I intentionally got married on his birthday. My anniversary yesterday, Kobe Bryant's birthday.
So for our listeners, that's not Rod talking. That's Trey. So happy anniversary, Trey. But again, with the flex, he made it so that August 23rd would be a Saturday, so that he could actually get married. I'm like, who does that?
I made it.
He made it a Saturday. In fact, he told Britt, "No, we're not getting married this year. We're getting married next year when it's a Saturday, so it could be Kobe Bryant's birthday." Happy anniversary,
brother. Thanks, brother.
to my brother and my sister-in-law. All right, so I want to get out of the NBA, but my goodness, the duel last night, the duel. First of all, did y'all know Jaylen Brown is like 21 or whatever they said, 23? I didn't realize Jaylen Brown was so young. But Donovan Mitchell versus Jamal, the mechanic Murray. Anything? Did you guys see that?
I didn't see it.
Did you guys see? Oh, you didn't see it?
No.
Oh, I saw every minute of 51 and 50.
Wow.
They went at it like that?
51 and 50.
Wow.
And when they each got to 45, it was, this is the first time that dueling players have reached 45 in the same game, and then they each reached 50. And interestingly enough, you could go back and take a look at it. One time in the final minute, I think it was probably Denver's third to last possession, Murray got his arm almost broken on a shot, and just nothing. He didn't get the call, and that was tough because I felt like all the calls were called, but that was one where they weren't able to score, and then they ultimately wound up down by 5 with their final possession, and then he hit a 3 to make it a 50-point game for him and a 2-point loss for his team. I just want to say that watching that, like, I normally wouldn't watch a Denver-Utah game, but for some reason, I love this bubble thing, and I just want to watch basketball. So after I got done watching, I watched the Dodger game twice. When Mookie has a big one, I just got to go back and make sure I see it all.
You had a doubleheader?
Yeah, I had a doubleheader all by myself. Dodgers are 22-8. Boy, what a game! What an absolute thrill to see Utah and Denver go at it like that. And that was after, if you didn't see the whole Dallas Clipper game, you don't know that Dallas had been down by 21 before they wound up coming back and going up by 9 and then going back and forth. And then, of course, going back and forth in overtime. But if you get a chance,
that was a great game.
Actually went up by 12 at one point. Up
by 12. Okay. So, yeah, that's a 33-point switch. But Denver and Utah. If you get a chance, listeners and viewers, if you get a chance to go back and watch Denver, Utah Game 4, that was something special. And then Murray is the first player to have 50-point games, multiple 50-point games in the same series. That's interesting. I never would have thought that would be a thing, especially with there having been a guy named Wilt, who we've talked about a lot on this podcast. But yeah, but Murray could get 50 tomorrow, and then he would tie that record, and they'd be the only two people. All right. So in Dodger history, we're moving on to baseball. In Dodger history, Trey and Rod, how many players have had 2 home runs and 2 stolen bases in a game?
Mookie.
Yes, he would be first on the list. Who else?
Mookie.
Oh, yeah, that's the end of the list.
Yeah.
I was about to say, no one else.
Yeah, that's what he did. That's what he did yesterday. And how fitting that he ended the day right on 300. So he's back at 300. He went 2 for 3 yesterday with 3 runs scored, 3 RBI, a nice catch on the track, banging into the wall. Just what can you say about 5-0? Like the real 5-0, 50, the real 50. Mookie Betts on the Dodgers. Listen,
he's on.
You guys got Mookie and you guys got me. Like, how can that be any better? Because without Mookie leaving Boston, I'm not here with y'all as a as a Dodger fan.
Speaking of flexing.
Yeah, speaking of flexing.
Tell me, please explain the flex. Please explain the flex. I didn't say anything like, oh, my squad has had, my old squad had 4 championships in the last 23 years. I didn't say that.
Oh, you just
y'all did. Well, I didn't say. Listen, I'm a Dodger fan. I'm all in. I'm going through 22 and 8.
I guess he's the Prince of Zamunda, and I don't know. One of us is Simi, and one of us is Mr. McDowell. I don't know. He's obviously Prince Hakeem over here.
Exactly. Wow. As long as none of us is Daryl.
Daryl with the curl, man. So so what do you got? And that's coming back, right? Coming to America too, or what is it called? Right?
I have no clue. They're making another.
Yeah, they are. They actually what you call it? What's his name? Rick Ross. They filmed it at his house.
Wow.
A lot of it. That's the house they use.
So do you remember that picture where you had Eddie Murphy, Martin Lawrence, and Will Smith? I want to say there was another one on the lot at Tyler Perry's lot. Yeah, that was Eddie Murphy was filming Coming to America.
Okay.
At that time, and they were filming Bad Boys for Life. That was a really, really, really bad movie. That was a bad movie.
No, that was a good movie. I liked it.
You liked it?
It didn't compare to the first two.
Did you like that more or the interview entitled Bad Marriage for Life? Which one, Trey? The Red Table Talk with Jada and Will. Which was better? That Red Table Talk or the movie?
The movie, man. The movie was good, brother.
They were both
you gotta watch it again. Watch it again.
No, I don't need to see another. Okay, so let's talk about it, and then let's not. I don't need to see another movie with black superheroes where they want to marry a white girl. I don't need that. Nothing against white girls, but like, why can't? First of all, Gabrielle Union is not in the movie for whatever reason. Yeah, and then we gotta have the white love interest. Is it because she's filming the TV show with Jessica Alba? I don't know. By the way, that was renewed for a second season. It's called LA's Finest. It's on Spectrum TV. Shout out to Gabrielle Union. I don't know. Moving on. Gabrielle Union went to UCLA. Go Bruins. Howard University, Kamala Harris is the Democratic nominee for vice president. She went to Howard University. We're moving on.
Hey, you know.
There's a power couple that is at Trey's alma mater, and I want to talk about them real quick. It's two Bruins. One of them is named Jason Flowers, and he is the women's basketball coach at Cal State Northridge. Go Bruins. And then there's Taraya Mims Flowers, who is the softball coach at Cal State Northridge. And she went to UCLA and won mad championships at UCLA in softball. And they're married. And they both coach at Cal State Northridge. So shout out to Northridge. Shout out to CSUN. Baseball. Listen, the Dodgers are plus 79. And at a point yesterday, they were plus 80 until they gave up that final run in the top of the ninth. Plus 79 for the season. And we're officially at a point now where you can add up any two other teams, and they wouldn't have a plus 79 combined. What do you think about what the Dodgers are doing? Like, the closest they could get is plus 73, and that's if you combine Minnesota and Oakland. What do you guys think?
I think it's great, but I want them to do it in the playoffs. And whatever you do during the season to get you to the playoffs, do that in the playoffs. And that's one thing that the Dodgers change. They start doing different things out of their character in the playoffs. I want them to stick to the script. This script is working. Let's bring it home now. That's it.
So I don't have perspective on that, listeners and viewers, because I've been on the other side of the country as a Red Sox fan, and all I see is Dave Roberts with 7 league titles in a row, World Series 2 out of the last 3 years, cheated out of the first one, just got outplayed in the second one, and then we all know what happened with the Nationals. But I feel like maybe Clayton Kershaw's in his own head against the Nationals because of the things that transpired against Houston. I just feel like I could be wrong, but having not been involved in the day-to-day operations like you guys, I will go with what Trey is saying and say, okay, I second that. I hope that Dave Roberts doesn't change anything, but I believe that the untouchable Dave Roberts is in the best place he's been in his entire managing life. Now that he's got Mookie, and now that he's been to the show 2 out of the last 3 years. And so I feel like, first of all, Mookie has changed the game for the Dodgers, and he's already changed the way that Dave Roberts manages in a positive way. And so I believe, Trey, that they will not only continue what they're doing for the next 30 regular season games, but push it into this modified playoff format. So I believe that they'll keep this 733 winning percentage, win 44 games, go into the playoffs, and maybe lose twice and win the World Series.
Like 7-8 times, right? Aren't they like? They've only lost like 7 or 8 times, right?
Yeah, they're 22-8.
22-8.
Yeah. 9 of the last 10, and they're on pace to go 44-16.
I like it.
Yeah, mind you, they were 12-7.
Mm-hmm.
So not only are they 9-1 in their last 10, but they're 10-1 in their last 11. So, because when they were at 12-7, I was hoping, hey, let's double up, let's get to 14-7, and they just really haven't looked back. Rod, you got anything?
People say that they switch up in the postseason. I don't see it. I don't see Dave Roberts doing anything he doesn't normally do. I just think that some of the players, especially Kershaw and some of those people on the pitching staff, they don't bring it like they normally do in the postseason. Some of the relievers, who are often up and down anyway, but some of the flaws are hidden. I think it's just brought out a little more in the postseason because it's on a bigger stage. But as far as him pitching his pitchers, no more than about 5 or 6 innings, his starters, and then using relievers for the rest of the game. I mean, like last year and the year before, you never knew which Kenley Jansen was going to show up to get the save. It could be the Kenley Jansen that can strike out the side, or it could be the Kenley Jansen that throws the cutter and it gets smacked into deep center field. You just didn't know. This year, it seems that he's changed some things about his approach and his mechanics, and he's killing it again. So hopefully that continues.
Let's remember to talk about Jansen next week, right? Let's continue with the Jansen point next week because he went somewhere to fix his mechanics. Like we should talk about that. So I know that's what you're talking about, but let's bring it up next week too. All right, go ahead, finish.
Yeah, and it's visible. You can tell that he worked on some things, that it's not hanging over the plate like it was before. Because previously he was having some back issues that was causing him discomfort, and he wasn't releasing the ball correctly and certain other things. So I think, if they can kind of try to tie that stuff up, and their young pitchers right now are doing their thing. Dustin May and Urias, they're not giving up too much of anything. And then you got Kershaw, who doesn't have the same velocity on his pitches, but he's for the most part putting them in better places. He still has those times where he'll give up a big home run. And you have to be concerned with that when it gets playoff time because things are magnified. But for the most part, he's doing his thing.
Oh yeah, you still want Kershaw out there. Don't get it wrong. Yeah, he's still the man.
And he's the ace. I mean, the dude has a lifetime ERA of like what, 2 or less, somewhere around there. So it's not inconceivable to say, you know what, I know he pitched yesterday, but let's just put him in for an inning to try to get these last 2 outs because you feel like it's Kershaw. If anybody can get 2 outs in a ball game, it should be him. He's just not always mentally there, and I think that Houston thing shell shocked quite a few of them. So we'll see. But I think if they can get to this hump this year, next year should be even better. That's my thinking.
Well, speaking of Kenley Jansen, he is 1-0 with 10 saves in 10 opportunities. So
yeah,
you can't have a much better start than that. And they're like I said, they're plus 79 through 30 games. So he hasn't had a lot of save opportunities. Right. But he's converted the 11 times he's been in the game, he's 1-0 with 10 saves.
Yeah, shut them down.
Yeah. All right. What you got, Trey? Closeout.
Yeah. Oh, Closeout. That's what. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Guys, let's pull for the Lakers. Let's pull for the Lakers. Let's pull for the Lakers. Yes.
Lakers. I had to make sure.
Okay. Yeah. Lakers.
Yeah.
Hey, Rod,
which will be the right L?
Okay,
come on over, Rod.
Oh, I'm here. I'm always a Laker fan.
We didn't say LA. We said Lakers. You got to come off.
I don't always bet with my heart. I bet with my pocket. So that's my thing. I try to be as realistic about it as possible.
That's right.
And at the time we talked about it, I felt that way because, like I said, you don't know which Lakers is going to show up.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so Rod, if we had a bracket this year, let's see how realistic you are. You got Howard going to the Elite Eight?
Howard?
Yeah.
No.
You don't? Okay.
No. Elite Eight?
Yeah.
I'll be cool. I'll be cool this year with the play-in game. For that final, what? That 64th spot?
Yeah.
I'll be cool with that.
Okay.
All right, guys. I want to, thank all our viewers and listeners. Tuning in with us, week after week. If it's your first time, thank you. Please come back. Tell a friend and tell a friend and tell a friend. We really appreciate it. Enjoy the playoffs. Hope football doesn't start. Let's go Dodgers. If you're going out, wear your mask. And shouts out to all the parents that's homeschooling their kids right now. You'll never know how the job is until you have to do it. Teachers deserve more pay. They definitely do, because the job that they have to do is tough. And when my kids finally do go back to school, I'm going to be sure that I praise their teachers, because I'm doing it and I don't want to do it. And they do it and they smile every day and tell me my kids is good. And they are not. They are not. So, shouts out to the teachers. Everyone stay safe out there. And we'll see you next week.
See you next week. And if you're in the LA area for now, but we're going to go nationwide at some point. If you're in the LA area for now and you need an outdoor movie screen experience in your backyard, check out Home Rentals One. That's Home Rentals and a number 1 on Instagram. That's train them. Okay, Home Rentals One. All right. What you got, Rod?
Hey man, real quick, I made a little joke about Vietnam. I shouldn't have said that. I got plenty uncles that were Vietnam vets who, as a kid, my cousins and I used to joke that they were shell shocked because we couldn't walk in the house after a certain time if they were sleepy, because if they heard one slight noise, they'd be locked and loaded. Um, and I know that that situation was very real. So of course that I don't joke in that way about that. Just making a reference to Paul George's game, and it was probably a poor reference. Um, Other than that, man, this last 7 months about Kobe has not left me. That has affected me tremendously, and I don't think I will ever get past it. If I don't, I think it's because of the way he and his daughter and those other people died, and knowing the fact that you, if if something like that starts to happen, and your child looks you in the face, and there's absolutely nothing you can do to assure that child in the 6 seconds they had before hitting the ground that something was going to change or be okay. The thought of that just messes me up, because I have children and I have a daughter that same age as Gigi who plays basketball, and I just can't imagine what that child's thought was her teammates and those parents on that plane. I mean, on that helicopter. And those yesterday was looked at my daughter yesterday, and it was still rough for me. And I don't think that part is going to change. So with that being said, hug your kids, spend as much time with them as you can, get to know what they're thinking. Don't let them just walk away and not say anything. Ask them questions. As Trey said, do the best you can with this virtual learning. It's tough. My kids start on the 1st of September. Uh, I haven't fallen into it yet, but I know what's coming. If there's anything like those last few months of school at the end of this past year, um, it's not easy. It's definitely not easy. And I've been a teacher and have been in the classroom before, and we're only dealing with two or three at a time. Teachers are dealing with 30, sometimes 30 plus, and all of them are not easy. Some of them are active, and they get bored and they try to find other things to do while you're trying to teach, and it's a lot. It's a lot. Um, and I'm glad people are starting to understand the other side of what teachers go through with your children.
Mhm.
Because that's the part I can't stress enough. Your children. I used to warn all of Lauren's teachers. Lauren is a quick learner. She gets her work done in 5 minutes, but if you don't give her something to do, if you don't make her some kind of teacher's aide, she will talk for the rest of the class, guaranteed. And you're going to spend the rest of that 45 or 50 minutes asking her to be quiet. I warn all of them every year.
Mhm.
Some of them take my advice, some of them haven't. And, and they had to learn the hard way.
Right.
So thank you, Rod. So anyone that listened to Rodney's Closeout and has never been a collective podcast listener or viewer now knows where Lauren gets that from. But anybody who's listened more than once knows that Rodney is very, very long winded. And it probably comes from his days of, I don't know, being on the ark that he helped build, where there just wasn't a lot of oxygen to go around inside of there. But then that's the funny part. But on the real side, he ran track. So maybe that's why he's got so much wind. I don't know. But this dude, a lot of times, is full of hot air. But everything that he just said was very valid and very important. So please heed. Take a listen to that. Learn from that. For me, I'm a new dad, but I can tell you this, Rod, and I don't know how it compares for Trey, but my stepdaughter is 9. She's in the 4th grade. She finished the COVID, pandemic school situation in a forced home learning situation. And that was very, very, it was unplanned, obviously, and it was a work in progress that was never really successful, at least for our school district. I can tell you that with this being day 12, this is the 3rd full week, starting on Monday, the day that we're filming, and that she started on a Friday. This is day 12, and it's immensely better. Like, they actually planned this out for us in our school district. So it's a lot. It's definitely a lot better. It's a good situation, and it's not easy. Like, I'm the designated teacher in the house. I've never been a teacher, but I've been a tutor, and I've always been a leader. So it's good that it's fallen on me, but I don't wish this on anyone. So my mom was a teacher for 35 years, so I've always appreciated educators. But and then Rodney did it. Rodney's had a couple different stints as a teacher. Like, he helped obviously teach people how to build the ark, and then led them to building it. And then he was a teacher in the DC area, in the DMV area, once he left Howard in the late 1800s. He was classically trained by uh, by Frederick Douglass. So, you just can't beat that kind of thing. All right, so this is what I want to say. I lost my train of thought. This is crazy.
That's your closeout?
Rest, yeah, right. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Kobe. Um, I know what I wanted to say. Let me pull up the name. Yesterday, there's a gentleman, Jacob Blake, who was shot in Wisconsin. What's it called? Chernomish? I don't want to get the place wrong. Well, anyway, I'm sure you've heard about it by now. I can't find the name of the place where he was shot, but more will be revealed. But from the video, it's very sad. It's very appalling. This gentleman, who they say was helping break up a domestic dispute between 2 women. Police were called because of a domestic dispute. You can see this gentleman walking from the passenger side of his SUV to the driver's side of his SUV with 2 police officers tailing him. You see him open his door, and then you see one police officer grab his undershirt as he's going toward the door, and then you hear 7 shots. And he was shot in the back, I think 7 times. And so it's unclear on if one of the officers shot him or if both did. They are each on administrative leave, paid administrative leave. The gentleman is hanging on to life right now. He is still with us, but he's in critical condition. And these officers are on administrative leave, and this is being investigated. This is not good. This happened on Sunday, August 23rd, on Kobe's birthday. When will this end? I don't understand. Kenosha, Wisconsin. Breonna Taylor's killers still need to be brought to justice. There are so many others that need to be brought to justice. When will it end? I don't know. Hey, listen, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We didn't get a chance to get to everything. Like, we didn't talk about the NFL at all. WNBA, the Las Vegas Aces are within a half game of the Seattle Storm, and the Sparks are a game or 1.5 games back. So I'm going back to my earlier prediction. I have the Aces and the Sparks in the championship, and I have the Sparks winning. As of right now, they're 2-3, so that can work. The Aces just beat Seattle. If they end up 1-3, then it can still happen. As long as they're not 1-4, it can happen. So, yeah. 2-3, it couldn't happen. And that's what they are right now. So it would need to change. But that's who I have. I feel like they'll be the cream of the crop. And the Sparks will be back. But A'ja Wilson is my second favorite player next to Candace. And, if you don't know about A'ja Wilson, now you know. Okay? Thank you, guys. As Trey says, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about us. As Rodney says, meet people in life where they are. For me, just appreciate every moment with your family and friends. Just building on what they said, I hug my daughter 1,000,000 times per day. It's just, she's infectious. And when she's going either down for a nap or going to bed, she will say, give me a kiss and hug. And she says, give me a kiss and hug. That's just how she says that, even though she can enunciate, give me a kiss and a hug. She just says it like she used to say it when she was much, much smaller. And you got to give her a kiss and a hug, or she's not going to let you leave the room. And so I love her to death. Shout out to Kayla Scott Carter. Shout out to my stepdaughter, Braylon Victoria Fontenot. Shout out to my fiance, Brianna Renee Johnson. Shout out to Nisha Saucier. Shout out to Britt Shipman. I love y'all. I didn't know what to do, so I just want to be safe. All right, y'all. We love y'all. We love y'all. We love y'all. We out.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I got caught up in last name.